All right. Hey, everybody. I don't usually prepare things, but I kind of tend to ramble and get overly specific. So I prepared a script. It's not actually going to stop me from doing all of that. It's just going to stick me to a time limit. So, hi, my name's Chris, and I, along with my friends Andy, Clay, and Lou, produce a Twitch channel called the C&C Power Hour. And tonight I want to talk about three things that have helped me and my friends on our journey from no-name streamers to, okay, well, no-name streamers with way too much production equipment. Along the way, I'm going to show you how you can use a bunch of free applications in creative or useful ways. Hopefully, these will help you as you continue to come across your own unique problems while you explore all the wonders and terrors of content creation. So, when we stream now, this is actually the room I was just streaming from. We have a studio lighting grid up here, which is just a fancy name for a drop ceiling. We have 4 camcorders, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we also have a DSLR as a card reader, a couple of webcams for hand cams, and a cinema camera that's not in this shot. But this isn't where we started. We actually started extremely basic. Our very, very first stream was in my dining room. We had a bunch of like 4 webcams and the cheapest lavalier microphones that money could buy. And we weren't great, but we learned a lot, which brings me to my actual first of the 3 points. The most important thing for you to ask yourself when you're doing content creation isn't, can I do this well? It's, can I try this and do it better next time? So every time I stream or record a podcast, it's really easy for me to look at it and see all of the mistakes because I make a lot. But like with Magic gameplay, if you don't learn from them, you're not going to get any better at it. So, for example, our test stream was pretty echoey. So to improve that, we outfit this very small room in our basement with carpet foam and some really cheap moving blankets we got from Home Depot. Whenever we wanted to stream, we would actually move out the table and move in some chairs and a coffee table to stream video games. It was not great, but that doesn't mean that we had to spend a lot of money to get more out of the equipment that we had to produce something better. We were in that room for a couple of months until a friend of ours pointed out that we had more than enough equipment to fill out this bigger space that was right next to where we were filming. So we moved everything from this cramped room to this much larger, nicer space without buying a single piece of equipment. And we actually just like really upped our production value just with a shift like this alone and by learning a bunch of cool little tools and tricks and combining them in interesting ways. There's so much you can do. And as Mikey Newman, host of FilmJoy, writer of Borderlands, designer of M15's Chasm Skulker, points out, when everyone starts out, there's only one thing we all have in common.
No one knows what they're doing.
I really hope that sting played because it's one of my favorite stings in the world. All right. But just because no one knows what they're doing, it doesn't mean that it can't or hasn't been done, which brings me to my second point. The solutions exist if you know how to look for them, and can think of ways to squish them together. So this is going to be the very techie bit of my presentation you were promised. We're going to go even faster than I'm talking right now. We're going to go very deep in all of this stuff. But if you have any questions, there will be a Q&A section at the end where you'll be able to get some insight from not just myself, but a couple of other great content creators. You'll also be more than welcome to reach out to me on Twitter or Twitch if you have any questions of something I covered. I'm going to cover all the live streaming stuff first, and then I'm going to cover post-production. So hopefully you're going to find something in this that you can take away. This is pretty advanced, so I'm going to assume that you have all these programs installed whenever you come back to watch the YouTube video, where in the YouTube video there will actually be a link to all the things that I mentioned here. I've actually just posted the link in the chat, so hopefully you can find what you need there. Come back, and this will show you a bunch of stuff, or how to set up a bunch of stuff. The main program that I use is actually OBS, which I'm using to stream right now. A lot of content creators use it. But before I actually get into OBS, I want to talk about a thing called virtual audio cables. And the reason I want to talk about those is because they let you separate your audio, or the audio from your programs into different tracks that you can use in post-production. So the way that you're going to do this, you're going to download Virtual Audio Cable and Voice Meter Banana. You're going to install them, and then whenever you reboot your computer, you're going to launch all of your programs that you want to play sounds. And the reason you're going to do that is because if you go down here to your settings and type sound settings, and then go down here to app volume and device preferences, you'll see everything here that has made a sound recently, and you can change the output of it to whichever one of the virtual audio cables you want to use. You're going to get 3 virtual audio cables. You're going to get voice meter aux input, voice meter input, and cable input. So you have basically 3 distinct audio tracks that you can use for game audio, for Discord, and for Spotify. So in this menu, you can click and then change where you want a particular application to go, and that's all you have to do. Next, we're going to head back into OBS, and we're going to take a look at some more advanced settings than normal. Go ahead and open up your settings menu. We're going to head over to output, and we're going to change this mode. This is going to be on simple mode, so it's going to look like this whenever you launch it first. But we're going to head over to advanced. Almost everything in the streaming tab is going to be taught to you by other tutorials, so I'm not going to cover them here. We want to look at recording. The one we want to look at in recording is the recording format. We're going to set MKV right here. The reason we're going to set MKV is because it doesn't have to be converted by OBS whenever you're done recording. So it won't, or if your computer crashes or OBS crashes while you're streaming, that footage won't be lost or corrupted. The other thing is it lets you use multiple audio tracks down here. Multiple audio tracks are absolutely fantastic. They're like what we were saying about the virtual audio cables. They're gonna link together here in a second. You're gonna check all 6 of these because you're gonna want them. Head over into audio. You're going to set this to 160 because that's the max that Twitch allows to be streamed. This is like an audio quality that's being streamed out setting. You're going to want to set these to the max because for post-production, you want to store the best quality that you can so that you can edit with it. Set all of these to 320, and then we're going to go over here to your audio area. I'm going to show you one quick thing. Most of the tutorials are going to tell you to add your audio devices here. Don't do that. If you do that, all of your audio devices are going to actually show up on every single one of your OBS scenes, which means that if you have like a just talking scene and you were just playing with people in Discord, you're going to have to remember to either leave the Discord chat or mute them. I don't want to have to remember that, so don't add them here. I'm going to show you how to add them specifically to your scenes. Next up, we're going to go over to advanced, and we're going to check this automatically remux to MP4 button. When I said that OBS doesn't have to convert MKV, that was mostly true, but most programs don't actually like the MKV format. So to fix that and make it play better, OBS automatically converts it to MP4 and retains those separate audio tracks. So you're going to want to click this. Just heads up, it will double your recordings, like the space that your recordings take up, because OBS is going to create a new MP4 every time you or after every MKV recording. So we're done in here. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. Down here, we have your scenes. Scenes are the folders or containers for your sources that are actually going to be blasted out across the internet to your streaming audience. A lot of tutorials will show you how to do them, or how to add scenes, or how to add things to your scenes as sources. I'm only going to focus on audio here, and your webcam. So down here, you're going to want to add a video capture device as your webcam. You're going to hit OK, and then if I didn't just crash OBS, which I may have, there we go. You're going to just set whatever your webcam is. For example, it's going to be, I'm going to use one of these C920s that we have, and I'm just going to hit OK. We're not actually going to pay attention to that. I just sort of wanted it there. Next, to add audio, we're going to go down here again. We're going to hit audio output capture, and we're going to name these sources what we want them to be. So if we wanted gameplay, so we want gameplay audio, we're going to type gameplay. We're going to hit OK. We're going to go up here to default, and then we're going to change this to whichever one of the voice meter tracks you want your games to go to. I have mine on cable, for instance. I really like it there. And then we're just going to hit OK. We're also going to add Discord, same way. I spelled Discord wrong because I actually have a Discord thing in here already, but we're going to set that over to voice meter aux. We're going to hit OK. Then we're going to add Spotify. So we're going to go audio output capture, Spotify. Go and set this to voice meter input up here. And those are the main ones that you're going to use. You're also going to add your microphone here as an audio input capture device. And you're going to set your source here. For me, for example, it's going to be this. And sweet. So next up, we're going to take a look at the advanced audio settings within your scenes. So we're going to right click, we're going to go to advanced audio properties here. And this little area right here with the tracks is where you're going to control which track your game audio goes onto. Now you're going to want to uncheck all these. It's really annoying that they're all checked all the time whenever you add a new source. But if you're doing this right, you only have to do this once. Track number 1 is what's going to go out to your Twitch stream. So if you're using a webcam, but you have a separate microphone, you're going to want to uncheck your video capture device from there. And then you're going to just want to add your tracks to wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. You can go 2, 3, 4, 5, and then actually add your video capture device, your webcam, on at least one of them by itself. If for some reason you are running out of separate audio tracks, which I actually do, you can have 2 audio sources on one as long as you're not going to use them at the same time. So for example, I have Spotify and Discord on track number 6, but that's because I'm never using Discord when I'm using Spotify. Once you're done here, we're going to hit close. And then I'm going to talk to you about my 2 favorite things that you can use within OBS, full stop. Multi-track recording is great for post-production, but for live stuff, these things are awesome. The first thing is VST plugins or VST effects. And the other thing is called sidechain compressors specifically. So VST plugins let you use studio quality mini programs within OBS to boost your audio and enhance it, make it sound more professional. So we're going to take a look at those real quick. One of the ones that you're going to see that is extremely common is called Replugs. The Replugs VST suite is absolutely free, comes with a noise reducer, a compressor, an EQ, a noise gate, everything you're going to need, except for my favorite piece of VST software, which is called LoudMax. So LoudMax is what's called a brick wall limiter. The primary function of this is to make sure that your audio doesn't get any louder than a particular point. The secondary function is that it's going to make quieter sounds a lot louder. And I'm going to show you how to do that to even out your audio for your viewers. So we're going to head back into OBS. There are tutorials that I'm going to link for installing VST plugins. I'm not going to cover it here. But to use it, you're going to right click on whichever source you want. Let's do gameplay audio. We're going to go down here to filters, and then we're going to hit this plus, and then we're going to add a VST plugin. We're going to name this LoudMax, and then we're going to go here and select LoudMax. If you installed it correctly, it'll show up here. You might have to close and reopen OBS. And then we're going to hit this open plugin interface. What this is going to do is it's going to actually let us fiddle around with it. You're going to see a couple of meters here. This meter is the loudest you want something to be. So for example, you don't want to peak, because if you peak, you distort your audio, and that's bad. So you can put it at -1 decibels, or -6, -10, however loud you want it to go, or -20 if it's not your microphone, something like that. And then this slider is at what point you want to start boosting the audio. This meter over here that moves a little bit is how much the audio is being reduced from its level above this. So if this goes all the way down here, you're probably still distorting. You just sort of want to play around with it. The biggest secret for audio engineering is that you're gonna just play around with it till it sounds right. I promise you. That's most of what it is. That's loud max. This thing is great for any audio source that you're not using, that you're not making yourself, because it boosts quieter sounds and keeps loud people from being too loud if you're in Discord. I mentioned sidechain compressors. Sidechain compressors are a type of compressor. If you don't know what a compressor is, if your microphone goes above a certain threshold of noise, it lowers it so that you don't peak or garble or distort your audio. Sidechain compressors lower a different audio source based on how loud your microphone is. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to add one. OBS has this built in, which is great. You're going to go down here, still in the filters menu. You're going to hit compressor. We're going to call this sidechain. This down here, the sidechain ducking source, is where you're going to set what your microphone is. You're just going to set it to your microphone. Ratio is how powerful it is. Threshold is at what point it kicks in. So if you're talking and you go above -18 decibels, this will start to reduce the game audio. Attack is how quickly the game audio reduces, and release is how long it takes for the game audio to come back up to its previous level after you've stopped talking. Output gain just adds a little bit of extra output to sort of leave it at a solid level. But that's the quick and dirty of it. This thing is awesome. I use it all the time. In fact, I actually use 2 on my gameplay or music sources, so that if someone from Discord is also talking, my gameplay audio goes down. So instead of setting it to microphone, you set it over here to the Discord source, and you're golden. But you would need 2 of them. The other thing is the order of these is really important. So you want loud max first, and then your sidechain last. Reason being is because it's like the stack. Whatever is on the bottom is going to get applied to the entire thing, or is going to get applied last. So loud max is going to boost your audio, and then sidechain compressor is going to lower it when you need it to. If you flip this, your sidechain compressor is going to try to lower the volume, and loud max is going to try to raise it back up, and it's not going to sound great for your viewers. Okay. I know I'm moving really, really fast. I've probably lost a couple of you. That's okay. You can come back to this. I promise. I'm not going to be too offended. The next thing we're going to cover is audio latency. So if you know what a clapboard is, which is one of these things that they use to sync audio and video from different sources by making a very loud noise. We're going to do that with a free program called Audacity. Audacity is awesome. It's a great audio editor that I'm sure you've heard of already. It's been around for ages. We're going to use this and a plugin for it called FFmpeg Libraries, which is going to let it import MP4 videos. Those very friendly MP4 videos that we remixed from our MKV recordings earlier. So the process for recording, like for setting up your latency, is really, really simple. You want your microphone to match your mouth on your webcam, right? So the only 2 things that you need to sort of sync up latency-wise are your webcam and your microphone. What you're going to need to do is you're going to go to a scene with both your webcam and your microphone that have it, and make sure they're set up on separate tracks. Start recording in OBS, clap really loudly, stop recording in OBS, and then drag the MP4 into Audacity. It's that easy. All you're going to do next is click on the audio tracks that have your microphone and your webcam. Microphone for me is track number 2. Webcam for me is track number 4. We're going to hit OK. It's going to take a second to import it. And then we're going to zoom in here with Control and then scroll wheel up. Zoom control in Audacity is a little weird, I admit. We're going to find where these start to deviate from this flat line. So this one's about here. We're going to click and drag. And then this one's about here. You can actually zoom in even further than this if you want. But this is all you need to do. Just find where they both start, and you want to line them up, right? This down here is actually going to show you the numerical difference. Right now it is 9 milliseconds, which we're going to punch into OBS in a second. Before we punch it into OBS, though, we need to see which direction we need to move our microphone. If our microphone is coming in before the webcam audio, we're actually going to push it forward by positive 9 milliseconds. However, if it's coming in after, we're going to pull it back by negative 9 milliseconds. OBS has a negative buffer built in for this, so it's totally possible to do it, even though it feels a little weird. So once you have that number and which direction you're going to push it, you're going to head into OBS. You're going to right click in here. We're going to go back to the advanced audio properties. And then we're going to find our microphone. We want to move our microphone to the right or positively 9 milliseconds. So we're going to hit 9 and we're going to hit close. And that's it. You're done. Your audio should match up. You want to do a couple of test recordings just to triple check and make sure. But this is great because the last thing you want is someone to sit through Twitch's pre-roll ads for you as a first-time viewer and then see that they're basically watching like a poorly dubbed foreign film, right? That's not a great look. Okay, I'm gonna breathe for a second. Take a drink of some orange soda. All right, cool. On to the next thing. Like I said, we have a whole lot of stuff to cover. Everybody is using Stream Decks these days. They cost $100 to $200. If you have a smartphone, you don't need to do that. You can use this great little program called Updeck. It's free. And this integrates with OBS and lets you change scenes, change sources, animate stuff, have an instant replay, all sorts of things. We actually use it for every single one of our scenes. It's really helpful. You can set it up for like groups of scenes or whatever games you're going to play that day. And if you don't have a smartphone, you can actually open it up on your computer by hitting Open Deck, and you can use it. And sometimes the images don't load if there aren't images there, but you can use it on your computer. It's absolutely free. It's extremely powerful. And this is going to be one of the best tools in your arsenal to sort of just add some smoothness to your live stream production. Regarding Magic specific things, I'm gonna talk about card readers here real quick. I mentioned earlier that we have a DSLR that we use for card reading. It's plugged into our computer through USB, and what we use is a SparkleCam virtual webcam to turn it into a webcam and let us also control it, brightness, zoom, all sorts of stuff from the computer. You can use a regular webcam. I would recommend it if that's what you have on hand. This is what you're going to put the cards on, and they're just going to flash up on screen. The way to set that up, though, there are two different ways. The first way that we used to do it is the way that Loading Ready Run does it, using the Nifty Recognizer. This is actually the tool the Loading Ready Run uses to pull up card images. It has two components. It has an OBS plugin, like a web page that you can pull into OBS, and it just shows you whatever image you want in the dimensions of a Magic card. And then there's also a web page where you can drag and drop images to fill that web page. We actually use this for Plane Chase, but we don't use it for regular card reading because it integrates with a program called Deck Builder. Deck Builder has a limitation where it can only read stuff from certain things. From certain sets, which isn't great. It's not super useful. Whenever you're playing Commander or whatever. So we actually use this thing called Card Spotter. It's actually what Spelltable uses, which I found out earlier today. Card Spotter is free. It's a Google Chrome plugin. What you're going to do is you're going to download it, install it, and then you're going to go to a web page viewer or a webcam viewer like webcamtests.com, which is currently capturing my Discord window on accident. But you're going to use that to put or to overlay the card reading area within Card Spotter and play around with it, and you'll be able to instantly pull up cards because it links to Scryfall. This thing's great for box openings or in-person paper games. I'm going to speed up here real quick. I only have a couple of extra minutes here. So, video editing. DaVinci Resolve is a great free tool instead of using Premiere. This thing has been used on Pirates of the Caribbean, The Last Jedi, Avatar, a bunch of movies. So you're going to want to use this if you want to do some really cool or even just basic video editing without paying any money. Audio editing, I like to use Reaper. Reaper is absolutely amazing for audio editing because you can make it do your audio editing for you. So you can automate a couple of things. I'm going to show you how to automate a podcast. There's a way to do it with video footage that I'm also happy to show you, but I think I'm going to run up against my time limit if I do the video one. So audio footage or editing a podcast, 90% of the cuts you're going to make are before someone starts talking and after someone starts talking, because you don't want to get all that room noise. You don't want to get crosstalk from other speakers in the room. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your audio file after you've installed Reaper. And Reaper, being a professional audio suite, you can actually use those VST plugins we were talking about earlier, including Loudmax, including replugs. This program is totally free, absolutely free. The only thing is, after 60 days, you have to wait 5 seconds every time it opens up. I paid for it because I'm a very impatient person, but you don't have to. This program is great. So to edit your podcast, automatically edit your podcast, you're going to drag your podcast audio in, place it here, and you'll see that there are a bunch of silences from when I was just spouting a bunch of nonsense. We want to make this easier on ourselves, so we're going to go up here to Actions, and we're going to hit Show All Actions. This is going to show you everything that Reaper can do. There are tons of tutorials. This thing has way more capabilities than what I'm using it for. I'm not going to lie. But we're going to search up something called Dynamic Split Items. So you're going to click on it, and then you're going to hit Run. What it's going to do is it's going to pull up this little menu called Dynamic Split Items. We're going to fiddle with these settings, and you're going to see it reflected here on this little timeline by these blue dotted lines. This is going to show you where those cuts are going to be made. So let's go here somewhere with just a bunch of noise. The controls you're going to want to pay attention to are when gate opens, when gate closes. You're going to want those checked. You're going to want at transients unchecked. You're going to go over here to gate, or underneath gate. You're going to set your threshold. So the threshold is at what point above silence do you want it to be considered speaking. So if you drag this all the way up, you won't get any cuts because you're probably not speaking at 0 decibels. You want to drag this down until you see a reasonable amount of cuts, but you're just going to have to play around with it by eye and from experience. Next is hysteresis. What this means is when your gate opens at a certain threshold of decibels, if you change the hysteresis, whenever that gate closes again, it's going to close lower than or in relation to where you set the hysteresis. So if your threshold when you talk, which is going to be the beginning of a cut, is at negative 24 decibels, but your hysteresis is at negative 20, it's not going to cut you off at the end of your sentence or when you're done talking until the overall audio of your track drops to negative 44 decibels. This is great because, some words, when people are talking, they don't stay at the same volume all the time. Okay, next down here under Actions to Perform, we're going to hit Split Selected Items. And then we're going to, depending on what you want to do, you can hit Remove Silent Areas, which requires the gate being closed. So if you check it, it's actually going to show you where exactly it's going to cut based on your settings here. So it's going to actually delete those when you process it. You don't have to do that. I like to do it. If someone is talking, you can easily like fix the splits, and I'm gonna show you how to do that in a minute. There is a leading pad, which means that if you change it, let's zoom in here. So if you change this amount, it's going to sort of increase when or move the beginning of this cut. So if you set this to like 1,000 milliseconds, which it probably won't do while I'm doing it here, but this would add a second to before when someone is talking. If you do it down here, it will add a second to after someone is done talking before the cut, so that it's not just snap cuts. So like someone says a word and then it immediately cuts off. People get to trail off and things like that. It makes it sound way more natural. There's also a fade pad, which will introduce a fader at the beginning and the end of each of the cuts. I don't like to use it, but it does make it sound a little bit more natural. Next, all you're going to do is hit split, but before we do that, I'm going to uncheck remove silent areas because I want them here. I want to manually remove them. It's pretty satisfying. You're going to hit split, and you're going to see, let's see here, down here that there are areas where you can select these cuts, and you can actually drag them. Oh, what have I done? Nothing. I haven't done anything. Okay, cool. Oh, this is the 1 second. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I see. You can actually click and drag these pieces around. You can duplicate them. You can move them around. These little red lines are the trails at the beginning and the end, the 1 second pads that we were talking about earlier. You can also just simply delete them if you don't need it. Come on, there we go. You can delete the pads. So if you click here and you want to get rid of one of the pads, you can do that. Or you can delete the track, like this section of the track itself. You have to go through the pads real quick, but click here and then boom, it's gone. You can also ripple delete, which is probably one of the best features in editing, by going up here to the ripple editing section and double clicking. And now, whenever you delete something, it will move everything after it to the left. You're going to want to sort of play around with this until you build out a system that you can rely on and a system that you can trust. Because what I want to talk about for my third point, for the next 2 minutes that I have, because I've been talking a lot, is that if you're going to reinvent the wheel when you're doing content or when you're improving your own stream, you only want to have to do it once. Back in January, we suffered a hard drive crash that lost us about 3 months worth of video data that we were working on. Now, to sort of prevent that, we've learned from our mistake, and every video that we record immediately gets uploaded to a Google Drive server. All of our settings for OBS, for Premiere, for Reaper, they all live in the cloud perpetually, so that if this happens again, if we get another hard drive crash, we don't have to start from square one. Which could just, really keep you from spending time improving your stream because you're trying to get back to where you were. I also have separate instances of OBS recording gameplay and audio in case something goes wrong in the broadcast setup and I need to fix it before I upload it to YouTube. It seems pretty paranoid, but because of these procedures, I don't have to worry about making these mistakes again. So if there's anything you take away from this, whether or not it is the actual tech, I just want you to think about front loading your time as much as possible. Make it as easy as you can to sort of slip into that creator mode so that you can improve what your audience is seeing and hearing and reading, whatever. You're going to want to spend the time now to save you time later so that you can learn, so that you can practice, and so that you can create, which is what we're all here to do. Most content creators' advice to new content creators is just start, right? I give that advice out on the rare chance that someone asks me. I have been given that advice, and this still applies to us in everything that we try, whether it's something new or just an iteration. So just starting, there are so many barriers, but if you combine and solve a bunch of problems early on, or set up a relatively reasonable, replicable way to tackle these problems, you're not going to let the tech get in your way.